The following episode of What Happened was brought to you by Quip, the world's best toothbrush. To find out more, stay tuned till the end of the video. It seems all too often that drama on YouTube will start out with something very small, then snowball from there into something that's massive. The thing is that every once in a while, the opposite happens, and before a YouTuber's behavior gets the wrath of the internet, it resolves itself. Today I wanted to discuss one of these cases, which was the hatred building up around Julien Solomita, who is better known as Jenna Marble's boyfriend. To give some background information for this story, on his secondary account Waffscile, Julien runs a show called Last Minute Trips with his buddy Colin, where they throw a dart at a map and wherever it lands they will travel to. The concept is pretty well known as a trope that's been done before, but a novel enough concept for a YouTube series. The show itself is the furthest thing from controversial and is actually pretty entertaining as far as YouTube travel shows are concerned, but their behavior outside of the show was a completely different story. You see, even though their concept is fairly cliche, Julien felt that he had some form of ownership over the idea of throwing a dart at a map, and didn't feel other YouTubers were allowed to do the same thing as him. This became clear when the Yes Theory channel did a one-off video of them picking a location to visit based on a dart throw. Because this other channel had the audacity to throw a dart blindfolded, Julien started to complain about it on Twitter, as well as leaving a passive-aggressive comment on the video itself, pointing out that they had registered this idea with the Writers Guild. Because of this, all of Julien's fans started to attack Yes Theory on his behalf. Instead of sticking up for themselves and pointing out how no one owns such a common idea, Yes Theory caved to the pressure and bowed down before the almighty Julien, and linked to their channel in the description. I feel this just emboldened Waffscile and gave them free rein to do this again since they received no blowback the first time around. After this controversy went down, a bit of time had passed when veteran online content creator Stuttering Craig decided to do a live stream where he'd throw a dart at a map and go to the location selected. He then promoted the stream on Twitter by joking about how cliche of an idea it was. But Waffscile wasn't having it, with them replying that they had the rights to the idea and how they didn't appreciate the tweet. Thankfully, Stuttering Craig didn't cave to the pressure, but Waffscile still didn't receive much in terms of blowback from the greater online community, so they went on thinking that they were in the right. It was clear what Waffscile was doing was getting out of control, but no big commentary or news channels had picked up the story yet, so they were getting away with all this behavior untouched. To be fair, I didn't even know this was going on until fellow YouTuber Rebel Taxi brought it to my attention. He had tried to reason with Julien that this dart idea was an age-old trope, but he simply responded with an ad hominem attack and wasn't listening to reason. Rebel Taxi runs a channel that talks about animation usually, but for this video he was making an exception. He reached out to me before making his expose to make sure his argument was sound, and after hearing out the basic premise of them holding this Writers Guild certificate over people's heads, something just didn't sound right to me. The Writers Guild is not a government institution, but rather a union, so I didn't see how registering an idea with them would provide any legal rights for a common idea. Well, after a quick Google search, my suspicions were proven correct, since their website states all this piece of paper proves is that you came up with an idea on a certain date. It doesn't mean you own the concept, just that you thought of that at some point. This shows that all these claims of ownership of the dart throwing concept were 100% bogus. So after sharing that revelation with Rebel Taxi, I waited for his video to come out and see how Julien and Colin would respond. Up to this point, they had been pretty hard-headed, but with a full video on a sizable channel calling them out, it seemed like they would finally face blowback for what they'd been doing. To my surprise, shortly after the exposed video went live, they released a statement admitting that they were completely in the wrong throughout the controversy. First and foremost, we want to say that we wholeheartedly agree with Rebel Taxi's video, which, as much as it was difficult to watch, really made it clear that we have been in the wrong in how we approach situations where we find other content involving a dart and a map. The reality is, it is not our original idea. It later goes on to say, we did wave a piece of paper in people's faces that A, doesn't carry any legal weight to it at all, and B, was toxic behavior for us to perpetuate. That was straight up wrong, and we are sorry for that. The main thing I still don't quite understand with the apology is about how they now admit that the piece of paper from the Writers Guild was meaningless and didn't give them any exclusive rights that they previously claimed they had. Does this mean they really just found out that they didn't have ownership to the idea, or were they knowingly threatening people with a meaningless document from the very beginning, hoping no one would notice? On top of this, while watching their videos, I found a clip where they encouraged others to throw darts at maps and go to the place where it landed.
I think it's worth doing.
Yeah.
I think throwing a dart at a map and going is something that everyone should try. Why not?
While they did accept that they were 100% in the wrong, what wasn't explained was why they even started to go after other people in the first place for throwing darts at maps. To most observers, it seemed like a pointless fight for them that in no way helped their channel, but instead opened them up for criticism. I can't say for sure, but my guess as to why they were so worried about these other shows is that they would often get a lot more views than them. An episode of Last Minute Trips only gets around 100,000 clicks, but a channel like Yes Theory, who used the concept after them, got well over 6 million views on their video. If any of these other accounts started doing dart throwing travel videos as an ongoing show, they could easily become the default series of this style. The thing is, I can't really see any other channel making more than a one-off video with this concept, since A, traveling is usually very time consuming and expensive when running a YouTube channel, and B, every time you make one of these, you run the risk of nothing interesting happening and it just becoming repetitive. I don't think Julien realized that the dart throwing concept isn't really the selling point of this. It's just a small gimmick for the program. What really needs to be interesting to keep people coming back are entertaining people on the camera. Travel shows like this are personality driven by nature. And even if another show legitimately ripped you off, with a show like this, it wouldn't really affect your views, I don't think. So in conclusion, do I believe that Julien and Colin deserve to be hated? Not really. Well, what they did was wrong. At the end of the day, they did apologize, and even though we can't be sure if they're truly sorry, I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. In the future, however, if you're a YouTuber that's being threatened for illegitimate reasons, don't just submit to the abuse. When one person cowers at the smallest bit of confrontation, like Yes Theory did, it just emboldens the bullies to go and harass someone else. You should always be the one trying to break the cycle of abuse. Hey everybody, before I finish the video today, I just want to give a very big thank you to my sponsor, Quip, which as you know, I use every day. Quip is a better electric toothbrush created by dentists and designers. It's designed to make brushing your teeth as simple as possible, affordable, and even enjoyable. One thing I love about Quip is the multi-use cover that mounts to your mirror and unmounts to slide over your bristles for on-the-go brushing. Unlike other toothbrushes, it doesn't require a clunky charger and runs for 3 months on one charge. On top of this, brush heads are automatically delivered on a dentist-recommended schedule of every 3 months for just $5. Those are just 2 of the many reasons why I love Quip, and on top of this, they're backed by over 20,000 dental professionals. Quip starts at just $25, and if you go to getquip.com/whathappened right now, you get your first refill pack for free with a Quip electric toothbrush. That's your first refill pack free at getquip.com/whathappened. And I'll also provide a link in the description down below.